So Donald Trump received terrible news yesterday. First, he learns that he's down in more polls and that the national averages are tipping in favor of Vice President Kamala Harris, and she's just pulling ahead in this election in ways that Donald Trump likely will not be able to recover from. Then Donald Trump learns that Vice President Kamala Harris selects Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota as her VP pick, and that threw Donald Trump into complete and utter panic mode. Let me just show you what Donald Trump was posting on his social media platform. And as I remarked, it really seems like Donald Trump is in need of a 51-50 hold, to which others responded, but Ben, that's only 72 hours. This probably needs to be a permanent involuntary psych hold because look, there are real issues going on right now with him. Here's what he's writing. He goes, "What are the chances that crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the U.S., whose presidency was unconstitutionally stolen," he puts that in caps for him, "by Kamala, Barack Hussein," and he puts Hussein in caps, "Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, shifty Adam Schiff, crying Chuck Schumer, and others on the lunatic left crashes the Democrat National Convention and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to another debate," and he puts debate in all caps. "He feels that he made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup, to the people in the world he hates the most, and he wants it back now!" Exclamation point, exclamation point. Then Donald Trump posted the following as well. He was like post after post like this. I'm not going to read them all to you. I just want to show you a sample. Donald Trump then goes, "This is the most radical left duo in American history. There has never been anything like it, and there never will be again. Crazy Kamala," what kind of even nickname is that? "Crazy Kamala is indeed crazy." And he puts that in caps. "I hear there is a big movement to bring back Crooked Joe." That's what Donald Trump is spending his time doing. By the way, just take a look at a small sample of the emails that his campaign sends out like stalkers to their, I guess, supporters each and every day. I'm on their listserv just to follow what they're writing, so you don't have to be on it. But this August 5th one was late at night, and then yesterday, the first email they send is at 4:52 a.m. "Are you awake yet?" Then they send an email at 6:30 a.m. "Tim Walz will unleash hell on earth." And then they proceed to send numerous other emails after numerous other emails. When you open this up, it's like, "Are you awake yet?" You click it open, 4:30 a.m. he sends this, and it goes, "Deep state Democrats just spat on MAGA. Ben, are you awake yet?" After leading a full-blown revolt against Biden, liberal billionaires hauled in over $310 million for the very crooked Kamala Harris. But by the way, I mean, the name calling, the juvenile behavior, we get that. Toss that aside because he's a petulant little third grader. No offense to petulant third graders. Vice President Kamala Harris has raised this money from small donors. Donald Trump has leaned on the billionaire backers to fund him. Vice President Kamala Harris has relied on millions of small dollar donors. Then you go and take a look at this next message that Donald Trump sends. He goes, "Tim Walz will unleash hell on earth!" Exclamation point. Then you open it and it goes, "Tim Walz would be the worst VP in history, even worse than dangerously liberal and crooked Kamala Harris. He's that bad. He'll unleash hell on earth and open our borders to the worst criminals imaginable. He'll rubber stamp KAMALA'S Green New Scam and light trillions of dollars on fire." By the way, you want to take a look at Tim Walz's record in Minnesota. Some of the policies Tim Walz signed into law in Minnesota include universal school meals, strong labor protections, cannabis legalization, stronger LGBTQ protections, paid sick leave, 100% clean energy by 2030, reproductive right protections, $1 billion for housing, gun safety, and cut child poverty by 1/3. But I guess that makes him a lunatic to you, Donald, or are you just projecting and confessing again? By the way, as our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, wrote, remember earlier this week, every single right-winger out there They were talking, and so was Donald Trump. They were screaming and talking about the stock market in a crash. They were rooting for it. They were saying, Kamala crash, Trump cash. We're in a free fall. Remember, they were putting those messages out over and over again, despite the fact that when you actually look at the market under the Biden-Harris administration and that under Trump, it's up like 50% more under Biden and Harris. But Donald Trump and these MAGA Republicans, like they tried to do a year and a half ago as well, when they tried to create a run on the banks by trying to create all of this panic. That's all they were doing yesterday, saying it's going to crash. This is a stock market over and over again, because as we've said before, these MAGA Republicans root against you. They root against America. And in our pain, in our chaos, and when they try to sow division, they think that's winning issues for him. It's why Donald Trump threatens the chairman of the Federal Reserve not to lower interest rates. It's why Donald Trump attacks OPEC when they lowered the price per barrel of oil, not because they wanted to, but because they were outsmarted in oil trades by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Donald Trump accused OPEC of trying to help Biden and then help Harris beat Donald Trump. It's why Donald Trump killed the bipartisan border deal. It's why Donald Trump is holding meetings with people like Viktor Orban, and he's also holding meetings with Netanyahu to try to run like a shadow foreign policy against the interests of the United States of America. And it's why Donald Trump was rooting for a market crash. Over and over again, Donald Trump and these MAGAs get glee. They get delight in our pain and suffering, and it's ridiculous. And it's about time we call it out. What I do like about Governor Walz is that he does call it out. So here was one of the more memorable moments. They were all very memorable from Governor Walz's first speech in Philadelphia, where he called out Shady Vance and said, "I want to debate you. Get up off that couch." Here, watch this.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, JD studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
And here is Governor Walz calling out Donald Trump and saying how crime was up when Donald Trump was disgracing the office, and not even including the crimes that Trump was committing. Here, play this clip.
Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws, he sows chaos and division, and that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground, and make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Hey everyone, I want to share something that's really made a difference for me when it comes to enjoying a night out with friends. It's called ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on hitting the gym, enjoying a brunch, or just getting some important work done without worry. I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical of ZBiotics at first, but then while hanging out with my friends at our favorite bar downtown, I decided to give it a try, and let me tell you, it really works. The first time I tried pre-alcohol was during a friend's wedding weekend. I had my first drink of the night, a delicious old-fashioned, by the way, right after taking ZBiotics. The next morning, I was up early, feeling great, and ready to join the rest of the wedding party for breakfast and activities. It was a total game changer. With vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions, there's so much going on this summer. Get the most out of your plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to get 15% off your first order when you use Meidas at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, and use the code Meidas at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
Let me share with you one more clip of Governor Walz right here. Let's play it.
Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. These guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you. Look.
By the way, the energy in Philadelphia was electric. You can see the differences in the crowd sizes between when Trump was at the same stadium versus this speech with Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz. You can see the differences right there. Let me show you this as well. This was Josh Shapiro who spoke before. Let me show you Governor Shapiro of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, what he had to say. Play the clip.
And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believe in a real freedom where you can marry who you love and be who you are. Now,
here's what Vice President Kamala Harris had to say. Let's play this clip.
And I'll say and I'll add, Tim wasn't only a role model on the football field. Around that same time, Coach Walz was approached by a student in his social studies class. The young man was one of the first openly gay students at the school and was hoping to start a gay-straight alliance. At a time when acceptance was difficult to find for LGBTQ students, Tim knew the signal that it would send to have a football coach get involved. So he signed up to be the group's faculty advisor. And as students have said, he made this school a safe place for everybody. In the high school yearbook, the students voted Coach Walz the, quote, most inspiring faculty member. And as I think everyone here can see, Tim Walz was the kind of teacher and mentor that every child in America dreams of having, and that every kid deserves. The kind of coach, because he's the kind of person who makes people feel like they belong and then inspires them to dream big. And that's the kind of vice president he will be. And that's the kind of vice president America deserves.
So, folks, these MAGA Republicans are running scared. I mean, this was the press release that they just put out. They said, this was from the Trump campaign. Kamala Harris and her campaign talk about being brat and doing weird things with coconuts. That was from the official campaign spokesperson from the Trump campaign. And then Stephen Chung goes, Kamala Harris does talk about doing weird things with coconuts. Fact check true. As this account, Phil's Wins, puts it. So this election is essentially about America's fun aunt and America's fun dad versus a convicted felon and your weird cousin. I think that's a good way to frame it all right there. Let me just show you this. You may have seen this trailer we created before, but I think it hits extra hard today. We call it Hillbilly Felony, and it talks about how a man with no convictions, Shady Vance, met a man with 34 felony convictions, Donald Trump. Let's play it.
I didn't vote for Trump.
The people who are most deranged and most psychotic are people who don't have kids at home.
The vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact.
I didn't come from the elites.
He was a nobody.
J.D. Vance, author of Hillbilly Elegy.
He came from nothing.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
You said idiot if you voted for him.
I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not a Trump supporter.
Might be America's Hitler.
An idiot and a moral disaster.
You got to respect the American people enough to just level with them.
But wanted to stand for something.
I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
Himself.
You know, Senator, this is an evolution.
All of a sudden, he decided not only isn't Trump noxious and reprehensible, he's now the greatest president of his lifetime.
JD is kissing my ass. He wants my support.
From the party with no platform.
I'm a never Trump guy.
He's the best president of my lifetime.
A man with no convictions.
Donald J. Trump, guilty on all counts.
And a man with 34 convictions.
I did absolutely nothing wrong.
In a story about freedom.
It was meant to be, at least a little bit.
Okay.
Freedom to rig elections.
Give votes to all children in this country, but let's give control over those votes to the parents of those children.
The freedom to be racist.
Now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
And the freedom to control women.
Roe versus Wade is an abomination. We're effectively run in this country by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
The people who are most deranged and most psychotic are people who don't have kids at home.
If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice.
J.D. Vance also thinks stepmoms aren't really moms. Women should be staying in marriages even if they're violent marriages.
These swing voters do not like him, and they do think he's weird.
No, we're not weird people. We're actually just the opposite.
From the directors of 2 fake charities.
We've always had a good chemistry. JP, right? J.D. Mandel.
It's Hillbilly Felony.
I love you guys.
I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Have a great day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.